Imagine for a second that you're 27 years old. You're ambitious. You're working for your father's real estate company in New York City, and you have massive dreams of putting your own name on the skyline. But then suddenly, the walls start closing in. The United States Department of Justice, the most powerful legal entity in the country, knocks on your door. They aren't there for a friendly chat. They're suing you. They're alleging that your family business has been systematically discriminating against black tenants. This isn't just a legal problem. It's a reputational death sentence in a city that's already on edge. What do? Do you settle quietly? Do you apologize and try to move on? Well, for a young Donald Trump in 1973, the answer wasn't in a law book. It was sitting at a dimly lit table at a private club in Manhattan, and his name was Roy Cohn. Now, to understand why this meeting changed the course of American history, and I mean that quite literally, we have to understand who Roy Cohn was. He wasn't just a lawyer. I mean, calling Roy Cohn a lawyer is like calling a shark a fish. It's technically true, but it misses the entire point of what makes him dangerous. By the time Trump met him, Cohn was already a legend of the dark arts of power. He had been the lead counsel for Senator Joseph McCarthy during the Red Scare of the 1950s. He was the guy who helped send the Rosenbergs to the electric chair. He was a man who didn't just navigate the law. He manipulated the very fabric of New York's social and political reality. He was connected to the mob, the media, and the highest levels of government all at once. So here's the situation. The Trump family's lawyers at the time were telling them to do what most people do, settle. They said, look, the DOJ has evidence. They have testers who went to your buildings and were turned away while white applicants were accepted. Just sign the consent decree, pay a fine, and let's get back to business. But Donald Trump hated that advice. He felt it made him look weak. And that's when he approached Cohn at Le Club and asked, the government is suing us. What would you do? Cohn's response was immediate and frankly classic Cohn. He told Trump, tell them to go to hell and fight them in court. Wait, so why was that so appealing? Why would a young businessman choose the path of maximum resistance when a quiet exit was right there? Well, this is the aha moment. Trump wasn't looking for a legal defense. He was looking for a philosophy. He was a young man trying to build an identity that was bigger and tougher than his father's. Roy Cohn didn't just offer him a way out of a lawsuit. He offered him a blueprint for how to exist in the world. Cohn's strategy had three main pillars that would eventually become the foundation of everything we know about Trump today. The first pillar, never ever admit weakness or defeat. Even if the facts are stacked against you, you act as if you're winning. In the DOJ case, while everyone else was worried, Cohn had Trump hold a press conference and announced that they were actually suing the government for $100 million for defamation. I mean, it was a totally baseless countersuit, but it changed the headline from Trump accused of bias to Trump sues government. It was pure theater. The second pillar was even more aggressive. Always counterattack. If someone hits you, you hit them back 10 times harder. Cohn taught Trump that the best defense is a relentless, exhausting offense. You don't just argue the law, you attack the prosecutor, you attack the judge. You make the process so painful for your opponent that they eventually just want the headache to go away. It's about psychological dominance. You can see how this would be intoxicating for a young guy trying to make it in the cutthroat world of 1990s New York real estate. It wasn't about being right. It was about being the person people were afraid to cross. And the third pillar, use the media as a weapon. Roy Cohn was a master of the leak and the headline. He knew that in the court of public opinion, the truth is often less important than who talks the loudest and the most often. He showed Trump how to cultivate relationships with gossip columnists and reporters, how to stay in the news, and how to turn every conflict into a public spectacle. If you turn a legal battle into a show, you can control the narrative. Does that sound familiar? It's the exact same strategy we've seen play out over the last 4 decades of Trump's career. From the tabloids of the 80s to the reality TV era, all the way to the White House. So let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture here. What Trump really got from Roy Cohn wasn't just a lawyer. It was a mentor who validated his most aggressive instincts. Before Cohn, Trump was a real estate developer's son. After Cohn, he was a brand. He learned that in the world of high-stakes power, strength is a performance. If you never apologize, if you never back down, and if you always claim victory, even in the face of total failure, a huge part of the world will believe you. It's a fascinating, if somewhat chilling lesson in the power of personality over procedure. But here's the part that really gets me. This relationship wasn't just about winning one housing case, which, by the way, they eventually settled anyway, though Trump claimed victory regardless. No, this was about the long game. Cohn introduced Trump to the elite circles of New York, the people who actually pulled the strings. He taught him that the law isn't a set of rules to be followed, but a tool to be used or a hurdle to be jumped. It's a very cynical view of the world, right? But for someone like Trump, who was obsessed with influence and winning, it was exactly the education he was looking for. Think about it this way. Most of us are taught from a young age that if we do something wrong, we should own up to it, learn from it, and do better. Roy Cohn taught the exact opposite. He taught that admitting a mistake is the ultimate sin because it gives your enemies a foothold. This never apologize mantra became the defining characteristic of Trump's public life. Whether it was business bankruptcies, personal scandals, or political firestorms, the playbook remained the same: deny, deflect, and double down. It all traces back to those early days in the 70s, watching Cohn operate in the courtroom and the press. So, as we wrap up this look at one of the most consequential mentorships in American history, I want to leave you with a question. We often talk about how leaders are born or made, but how much of what we see in our public figures is actually the shadow of the people who taught them the ropes? When we look at the way power is exercised today, the use of public theater, the refusal to concede, the relentless counterattacks, we're seeing the ghost of Roy Cohn. He's been gone for decades, but his methods are more alive than ever. It makes you wonder, who are the mentors shaping the leaders of tomorrow right now? And what kind of world are they teaching them to build? Something to think about next time you see a headline that feels more like a battlefield than a news report. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next lesson.